Right, so as we discussed the torso position on the 3 pressing motions, or the 4 pressing motions, the strict press, the push jerk and the split jerk, you need to maintain a vertical torso at all times. Anytime we get bent over in the press, the bar path, if you can tell, is actually diagonal. It's not straight up and down, it moves on a diagonal motion. If we can stay upright and dip into the heels and maintain an upright torso, the trajectory of the bar is straight up, and that means our force production is straight up and we get a heavier lift. It's really important. Some things that can stop us from having that are just being too much in the toes, sticking our butt back like a deadlift, and one of probably the most common ones is having a tight thoracic or not enough external rotation in the shoulders. So anytime you see athletes that are just a little bit rounded in the shoulders, or they've got really tight, they don't have much motion this way, you'll see them, they'll have the bar and they'll look like this. And the bar's sort of sitting on their shoulders, but their shoulders are way forwards. Or it's not quite sitting on the shoulders, it's in their wrist. Now that is going to be because of shoulder mobility. So we need to be able to create some extra mobility this way in order to get a high elbow for our presses. Now this looks very much like a good old tricep stretch. So if you can get your athlete into this position, stretching the triceps, that's great. If you can get them in a band and have that band pulling behind them, pulling the elbow back, and also pulling the hand out that way, it becomes very similar to our bar pressing position. This is exactly like our neutral standing position in yoga, okay, here to here. So we must have this flexibility. One way to create the extension through the thoracic is to go ahead and lie on a keg or on a foam roller and just loosen up some of the fibers and some of the muscle tissues and create some of that shape that's been missing from sitting over at a computer or landing around in a chair. Just hanging out there, rolling back and forth, side to side, trying to free up some of those tissues is then going to help you when no longer are you here, but you can create some extension to set up in a better position. So you may want to work on that in your pre-warm-up or your post-workout sort of stuff, or just in between before heavy lifts. The front rack forearm position in the strict press and the push press, you're looking for a vertical forearm to create a pressing force upwards. In the 2 jerks, because we're actually forcing ourselves below the bar and there's no actual physical press, we start with the elbows up higher to get the bar in a better rack position on the shoulders. It can be down a touch, it can be up a touch, you've got options because it's less of a press. And by what I mean by that is you're actually forcing the bar off your shoulders with your legs, sucking yourself under it and catching it with a straight arm. Any actual press in a jerk is a no rep, simple as that. Now as an athlete, a new beginner coming in the door, some of these guidelines we're going to just push aside and near enough will be good enough. But we also want to give you the education so that you know what the next level is, so that you know how to do it a little bit better next time and be a bit more efficient. The shoulders at the top of the motion across the board, the shoulders that lock out across the board are going to be shrugged up. And if you look at my arms from side on, right, they're right around my ears or just behind. And that's a good amount of flexibility. If my arms are slightly on an angle forwards, if my hands are in front of my shoulders, that bar is going to come forwards. And one of the most common things we see from our athletes to make sure that gravity remains is tip the hips forwards. And this is why we see our athletes in this position sometimes. The lats or shoulders are so tight that the bar is not stacked directly above the shoulder, it's stacked forwards, so we send the hips through and end up in this dirty position this way. Okay? Or sort of looking at the bar, like please stay up. So that's a mobility issue that needs to be fixed quite often. Shoulders in the rack. When the bar is in the front rack, you need to avoid putting the shoulders forwards like this that is a compromising position. You do need to squeeze them back, and if you are still grounded, that's when you need to go to the keg and create the extension. Okay, so always squeeze the shoulders back so that the front of the shoulder is not pressing on the front of the socket. Finally, our head position on all four movements is neutral at all times. And that is across the board. Whether it's a deadlift and your ass is back, your torso is on this angle, your head's always neutral, never in a compromised position. With the jerks, because you're always upright with your torso, your eyes will always be forwards, and that's going to give you the most effective position and also take the most tension off the body possible. That should give you a really clear and comprehensive understanding of all of the pressing and jerking motions. So, play, learn, revisit the video, and look forward to getting some great PBs with you.